For over 15 years, I've been balls deep in the world of visual novels, beginning with the original fan translation of Fate Stay Night back in 2009. The captivating blend of character development, world building, drama, emotional depth, and even action scenes ignited my passion for the storytelling potential of this unique medium. Today, visual novels are the medium that consistently provides me the most entertainment compared to others, to the point I made a video expressing my personal belief in their narrative supremacy. My love for visual novels has led me to dedicate an entire channel to exploring this medium, featuring numerous top 10 lists on various visual novel related topics. However, I realized that despite these specific rankings, I've never shared my overall top 10 favorite visual novels of all time in a single video. Now that I've reached a point where I've read virtually every available English translation that's been a high priority for me, and new releases feel more like pleasant additions rather than must-reads, I feel ready to use this video to highlight my personal top 10 favorite visual novels. To showcase the variety of different genres I enjoy while avoiding repetition, I've limited myself to one visual novel per series. However, I have not placed any restrictions on developers or writers, allowing their various works to be considered separately. Starting off at number 10, I've chosen Bokuton, Why I Became an Angel, developed by Overdrive. This was by far the hardest entry to select for this list. On any given day, number 10 could easily be Ever 17, Remember 11, Amatsutsumi, Marshmallow All the Way Home, or even the untranslated Full Kiss S by Giga. However, I ultimately went with Bokuton for a few key reasons. Firstly, it's my favorite Utsuge, or depressing/melancholic visual novel. While I used to shy away from stories with bittersweet endings at best, I've grown to appreciate them more over time. Bokuton not only executes this concept superbly, but also combines it with what is easily my favorite common route in any visual novel. Romance in visual novels tends to be idealized, whether to provide fan service, offer a favorite waifu or husbando to date, or present two attractive characters in an emotionally engaging story. What sets Bokuton apart is its exploration of the darker or more nuanced aspects of romantic relationships, both before and after couples get together. The common route excels with its pacing, utilizing a chapter-based system where the main character, Tomoe Kirino Kojima, helps 6 potential couples either form relationships or resolve relationship issues. Nothing in this world is black and white, and all choices in this game carry significant weight, heavily influencing how relationships unfold. This nuance extends to the heroine routes that Tomoe himself can pursue. I love this feature as it showcases some of the real-life complexities of romantic relationships. It highlights potential sacrifices and flaws that many might not consider, doing so incredibly well for the most part. There are a few elements I'm not entirely fond of, such as some gratuitously edgy scenes and a few head-scratching plot twists in the true route. But despite these minor issues, Bokuton stands as a perfect example of blending Nakige and Utsuge tropes. It offers emotionally resonant moments and themes, memorable relationships, features one of my favorite choice systems ever, and boasts a solid cast of characters, including my all-time favorite childhood friend and one of my all-time favorite protagonists who undergoes remarkable development. Coming in at number 9 is Making Lovers, developed by SME. SME is already one of my favorite moege companies, with their visual novels combining a great mix of hilariously savage comedy and surprisingly wholesome romantic development. However, Making Lovers not only showcases the best of SME's writing, but also some of my favorite aspects of pure moege romance in general. One of the main things that really makes Making Lovers stand out is the fact that almost every character is of adult age, with the main gimmick being that all the characters have jobs and some with long-term careers they're aiming for. This leads to how the main character, Kazuma, meets and grows with the heroine in question within that job context. The game features one of the shortest common routes I've read in any visual novel, which I found brilliant. It was the perfect length to showcase modern adult dating. When you're busy with work and figuring out your life, you don't have time for long school slice of life shenanigans. Finding romance would likely happen through quick encounters like a chance meeting on the streets, or through some hookups with the help of a friend. All 5 routes, despite having the same chapter length, provide unique themes through the different and memorable heroine personalities, as well as the jobs and careers they pursue. The highlights for me are Karen's route, where she was an acquaintance of the main character through a previous school and ends up rooming with him due to some bad luck, dealing with Karen's insecurities. But my personal favorite is Mashiro, who's easily my favorite waifu in any Japanese media. She's basically my personal ideal love interest, ticking every box I like. A quirky, energetic, hilarious gamer girl who has surprisingly wholesome, affectionate moments and development. Even the routes I found much less engaging, like Akko and Reina's, still have their own merits. I think all 5 routes are worth reading at least once if you enjoy pure romance visual novels. While he's not a god-tier protagonist or anything, I also like the protagonist Kazuma quite a bit. Sure, he has his dumb, loud, pervert comments like many other SME and comedy-heavy moege protagonists tend to do, but I find most of his jokes actually pretty funny and generally not too strong detriment to his personality and relationships. In fact, he's one of the most openly wholesome, gentlemanly of the perverted protagonists I can think of. Sure, he says and does some dumb, weird things, but once he gets in a relationship, he tends to prioritize what his girlfriend likes and how he can make their relationship more fun and or more fulfilling. Making Lovers may not be perfect, but to me, it's the closest to perfection for a standalone, non-fandisk, pure slice-of-life romance moege. Contrasting with Making Lovers, at number 8 we have Sharin no Kuni, developed by Alphabetical 2. This visual novel is one of the first I ever read and cemented my love for psychological dramas, or charage, a genre that has become one of my favorites in the medium. Sharin no Kuni is set in a surprisingly dark dystopia setting where characters must deal with special duties imposed upon them called obligations for breaking strict laws. This unique setting provides a rich backdrop for exploring flawed individuals and their growth into better people. Kenichi Morita, who's probably my overall favorite visual novel protagonist, stands out as a well-rounded, proactive, and competent character. As a strict psychologist of sorts, he helps rehabilitate 3 heroines who have obligations imposed on them. His role in uncovering the heroines' flaws and aiding their improvement showcases some of the best psychological character writing I've seen in visual novels. Kenichi's character can be compared to the popular Yuji from the Grisaya series. While both have similar roles, Kenichi's outgoing, goofy, sarcastic, and fun nature makes him more consistently likable to me personally. But more importantly, Kenichi is not overpowered, as he's constantly challenged by one of the most threatening and imposing visual novel villains, Masaomi Hozuki, voiced by the legendary Norio Wakamoto. Just his charisma and tone of voice alone is enough to instantly cause tension, forcing even the confident Kenichi to find a way to rehabilitate the girls as fast as he can, lest he face the consequences. The only reason Sharin no Kuni isn't any higher on the list is the uneven quality of its 5 total chapters. The first 3 chapters, focusing on psychological character studies and development of the major heroines, at least to me, are significantly stronger than the last 2. Chapter 4 suffers from slower pacing and less intensity compared to 2 and 3, while 5, despite an interesting plot, doesn't quite match the engagement level of the earlier chapters, especially one of the final plot twists being incredibly underwhelming for me. That said, Sharin no Kuni exemplifies the best aspects of psychological drama charage in visual novels, offering complex character development and a thought-provoking dystopian setting. Now, if only Front Wing and Alphabetical 2 would get off their asses and finally release this supposedly great HD re-release and improved official translation they've been promising for almost a decade now through a scam of a Kickstarter. At number 7, I have the Criminal Border Episodic series developed by Purplesoft and written by the author of the 9-9 series. The Criminal Border, or Liminal Border on Steam series, stands out as a dark psychological thriller with a unique premise. Despite only 2 of the 4 episodes being translated as of this video, its storytelling was significant enough to earn this high ranking for me, easily my favorite of any episodic visual novel releases I've read. The story revolves around Utsuge, who accidentally creates a digital drug that induces intense arousal in less than a minute after viewing a badly made anime music video AMV. This seemingly outlandish concept serves as a springboard for a surprisingly raw and psychologically complex narrative. Utsuge's journey from a slightly unlikable protagonist to a more nuanced, developed character is very well executed. Criminal Border, to me, is arguably the best-paced story visual novel to date, maintaining constant engagement through exploring the consequences of Utsuge's weird AMV creation, raising questions about monetization, violence prevention, and interpersonal relationships. Both the heroines and antagonists, while not the deepest characters ever, are quite interesting, adding extra intrigue to the narrative. The series excels in quickly establishing its plot while avoiding common pacing issues. Even as early as the end of episode 1, the story delivers impactful twists that seamlessly set up the next story arc. While I hesitate to rank Criminal Border higher due to the incomplete translation, the potential for the untranslated episodes to elevate the series to possibly my top 5 or even top 3 visual novels is something I was not expecting from a visual novel that first released in Japan in the 2020s. The fact that just the first half of the story secures my number 7 spot speaks volumes about its quality and how impressed I was with Criminal Border's overall execution, at least so far. At number 6, we have Symphonic Rain, developed by Kogado's Kuroneko-san team. While Bokuten is my favorite Utsuge, Making Lovers my favorite standalone moege, and Sharin no Kuni my favorite psychological cherage, Symphonic Rain easily stands out as my favorite Nakige, or an emotional visual novel made to make you cry. Symphonic Rain excels at incorporating visual arts as key visual novel style tropes, while also introducing elements I wish more Nakige, especially Key, would adopt. 2 aspects make it particularly distinctive. 1. It has a unique setting for a Japanese visual novel, aka a fictional city clearly inspired by Italy, with heroine names and backgrounds reflecting this influence. And 2. goal-oriented characters with the protagonist, Chris, a player of this fictional magical piano called the Fortell, must choose a heroine who excels at singing to partner with him for his graduation recital final test. While music is central to the plot, Symphonic Range's actual themes end up exploring the deep-rooted issues of both Chris and the heroines in surprisingly good detail, with the song lyrics of each route straight up foreshadowing the heroines' issues. The slice-of-life interactions also remain refreshingly down-to-earth, with basically no fan service scenes or the typical overused anime romance harem humor you find in most visual novels. Symphonic Rain features some of my favorite romance-related plot twists, making all the heroines more intriguing than initially expected, even if they're all not objectively good people. But as stated, this is a Nakige after all, and oh boy, there are many strong emotions I felt throughout the story, including depressing sadness, wholesome joy, frustrated anger, and even shock with some mystery genre adjacent reveals. A fun music minigame is included, which you need to constantly win at in order to get the good endings for all the heroines. Thankfully, there is an option for the game to auto-win these music minigames for you if you don't want to stretch yourself out or just not into rhythm games like Osu or Project Diva. Symphonic Range's only drawback for me is its occasionally slow pacing and its clear inspiration from key visual novels at times. It borrows a few storytelling tropes and plot devices that bother me, especially key magic, but these elements are handled more skillfully than even key stories, I would say. In conclusion, Symphonic Rain offers a unique and emotionally engaging experience that stands out in the Nakige genre despite its few minor flaws. At number 5, I have Chaos Child, developed by Mages. Chaos Child, to me, stands as the pinnacle of sci-fi murder mystery visual novels. While many entries in this genre suffer from unsatisfying endings or poorly executed plot twists, Chaos Child delivers a consistently engaging experience from start to finish. The story hooks you within the first 30 minutes, presenting a series of bizarre murders depicted in surprisingly dark detail. Unraveling the connections between these crimes and uncovering the true culprit proves to be a very interesting journey on its own. Chaos Child's pacing is surprisingly decent for something of its length and has some consistently compelling hooks like the previously mentioned mysterious deaths, complex character relationships, and even sci-fi elements like the real booting abilities of gigalomaniacs, as long as you are okay with the concept of them and Chaos Head. The true ending route, Silent Sky, I think is particularly exceptional, one of my personal favorite conclusions in any visual novel. Without spoiling anything, it manages to deliver multiple shocking plot twists, significant character development, and a bittersweet resolution that perfectly fits the story's themes. The fact that it's one of the very few satisfying endings to a mystery visual novel I can think of helps a lot. And, well, it's just one of the many reasons why Seika Onoue is now in my top 10 favorite visual novel heroines. While I've seen some people criticize the side routes, I found that they added surprising depth to both the characters and world building, with some even claiming Nono's ending arguably better than the true route. The only odd choice is the route's placement between the common route's ending and the true route. The only real flaw I have with Chaos Child is the Delusion Trigger Choice system, a carryover from Chaos Head. The system made more sense in Chaos Head as it was a Dempa VN, and the main character, Takumi, was a very unreliable narrator. In contrast, Chaos Child, these delusion triggers end up mostly being cheap fan service scenes and lame humor, with only a small handful of delusion triggers actually making sense to the plot. That said, as a whole, Chaos Child's more character-driven approach, with its proactive yet flawed protagonist, made it far more consistently engaging than its predecessor, Chaos Head, for me. I even think it surpasses the fan favorite Steins Gate in overall quality, execution, and unique themes. At number 4, we have the only fan disc on this list, A Sky Full of Stars, Interstellar Focus. While I generally prefer monogamous relationships in visual novels, this fan disc is a rare exception that excellently executes a polyamorous threesome storyline. The Skyfall of Stars series is known for its wholesome, slice-of-life narrative centered around stargazing and astronomy as a whole. One of the main features of the original visual novel is the childhood friendship between Akito, Hikari, and Saya, explored through numerous flashbacks. However, the original visual novel suffered from frustrating melodrama regarding the childhood friend love triangle, especially concerning Saya. Interstellar Focus addresses these problems by proposing a simple yet effective solution. Instead of Akito choosing between Hikari and Saya, why not date both? This premise, which makes perfect sense for this specific trio, is executed brilliantly to me. The main strengths of this fan disc is its surprisingly, relatively realistic-ish portrayal of a threesome relationship, seeing humorous reactions from other characters and small exploration of challenges in maintaining a three-person relationship. But there's great content for characters outside the main three, including surprisingly wholesome send-offs for the side heroines from previous routes in the series, especially through the inclusion of an amusing astronomy quiz minigame. The only slight disappointment is that these side heroine and sendoffs could have been much longer. However, considering this was intended as a short fan disc, 6 hours or less, the short sendoffs were satisfactory enough, I guess. Interstellar Focus, to me, should be the standard for unique fan disc quality. It not only resolves issues from the original game, but also provides a unique, entertaining, and most importantly for the Miyazora series, wholesome experience that is a net positive for the overall series. It's why I consider it the standout entry in an already great Sky Full of Stars or Miyazora series. The number 3 bronze winner, we have the original If My Heart Had Wings. Poltop, the only developer on this list with multiple entries, truly shines with this original Konosora. While their Sky Full of Stars series is arguably my favorite overall VN series, particularly with the fan disc as I just noted, the original If My Heart Had Wings stands a cut above all their translated releases in my eyes. I will admit, I do have something of a bias towards this entry as I was head quality assurance tester of this 18+ fan restoration and retranslation patch most people point to as the definitive way to read this visual novel. This project was my first foray into being a QA tester for visual novels, the closest I got to my childhood dream of being a video game tester when I grew up. This visual novel epitomizes pure, wholesome romance storytelling. Its central theme revolves around characters bonding through an eventual shared passion for gliding, creating a unique and memorable slice-of-life experience. The narrative expertly weaves together the personal growth of characters carrying emotional baggage as they discover an unexpected growing love for a shared goal. If My Heart Had Wings' key strengths to me include consistent quality. The slice-of-life elements maintain a high standard throughout, though some might find this consistency almost too predictable and maybe too slow-paced. Emotional climaxes. Each route builds to a heartwarming scene of the characters flying the club's glider, usually to the morning glory. While structured similarly across routes, these moments remain impactful due to unique character developments and thematic variations between the routes. Atmospheric music. The soundtrack perfectly complements the game's wholesome tone, enhancing already great emotional moments. Character development. Most characters are pretty likable and undergo interesting personal growth. Visual appeal. This visual novel has excellent graphics, which bring the story and characters to life. It is worth noting that Ageha's route is widely considered the weak link, disappointing many players despite its initial promise. However, this single subpar route does not detract from the overall excellence of this game, and I've seen a few people who still like the route for what it is. If My Heart Had Wings delivers some of the most emotionally resonant and wholesome scenes I've encountered in any visual novel, cementing its place as a standout in the genre for me. Securing the second spot on my top 10 list is the original Nukatashi. If not for my all-time favorite visual novel taking hold of my heart for nearly a decade, Nukatashi 1 would likely claim that number 1 spot. So, what makes this relatively modern visual novel so exceptional to me? Nukatashi to me excels in delivering consistently hilarious jokes. While humor can be subjective and all that jazz, this game's comedic elements are diverse and well executed. There's clever sex jokes that parody hentai dialogue, savage dialogue between characters reminiscent of SME, Asa Project, and Minato Soft visual novels, and just over-the-top character gimmicks used for witty banter and playful teasing. The visual novel takes place on an island that enforces public sex among adults, a setting that's both intriguing and thought-provoking. This seemingly utopian concept at first gradually reveals its dystopian nature, especially when examining the island's strict police force and their punishments for avoiding the public sex law. Despite its initial comedic focus, Nukatashi actually delivers a plot-heavy experience. The main character, Junosuke, and his sister Asane find themselves fighting against the system to maintain their values on only having sex for love. The story explores surprising depth in most individual characters, including the supporting cast. It also goes into the societal implications of a sex-centric culture, and also just explores the darker aspects of human nature, including body insecurities and character motivations. Even at being at roughly 40 hours long, Nukatashi 1 maintains near-perfect pacing for me. The humor effectively breaks up any potentially slow-paced slice-of-life segments or exposition dumps. Nukatashi constantly introduces new elements, whether story, setting, or characters, keeping the player engaged throughout. Each heroine route covers unique yet relatable themes, with the true route expertly tying everything together. The main character, Junosuke, and his journey with his battle harem get to provide hilarious but surprisingly fun and well-paced action scenes, while still having the heroine routes go into why the girls are either likable or their ties to the sex-heavy Sharin Island. The sequel, Nakige 2, does seem to be preferred by most fans that I see, which I can understand, as it in many ways does improve on some of the stuff from Nakige 1, including being even funnier and one of the few Japanese media to cover LGBT themes in a surprisingly nuanced and engaging way. While I still love Nakige 2, I think it suffers from occasional quality inconsistencies, slower pacing, and a parallel world isekai premise I wasn't super into, even as a joke. I still slightly prefer the original Nakige due to much more consistently great routes, better pacing, and simpler while still extremely resonant themes. I would say the only minor flaw I have with Nakige 1 is Junosuke's sometimes overly abrasive personality, especially to Nanase, though I consider this an intentional choice that leads to satisfying character development. My number one favorite visual novel of all time, holding the top spot for over a decade, and for the most part, no visual novel has even come close to being on par with, is the original Majide Watashi ni Koi Shinasai, or Majikoi Love Me Seriously, as localized by Jast USA. This 50-plus hour masterpiece not only has amazing comedy and slice of life as one may expect, but even excels at a surprising amount of varied subgenres. Having said that though, Majikoi is a comedy visual novel at heart, and I think the humor is stellar, featuring an expansive cast of memorable characters, each with their unique brand of humor. The variety ensures that there's something for everyone, as long as you like the visual novel's unique over-the-top joke style. But what truly sets Majikoi apart to me is its emphasis on friendship. The Kazuma family, the core friend group, is easily my favorite in any media ever, a mix of genuinity, relatability, and fun. Their interactions range from everyday banter to supporting each other through kidnappings and conflicts, creating a bond that, to me, surpasses the popular Little Busters by Key. Though with Little Busters, I have an issue because I hate that refrain sidelined the non-childhood friend characters. Unlike many visual novels, Majikoi's action scenes shine through a perfect blend of comedy, engagement, and pacing. The emphasis on one-liners and goofy tactics makes these scenes entertaining even in the visual novel format, avoiding the pitfall of dry, drawn-out, narration-heavy battles that you would find in more serious visual novel action stories. While romance isn't the primary focus, it's still solid, with routes like Wanko's and Yukie's offering particularly touching moments. The character development throughout is consistently strong, adding depth to an already very memorable cast. Majikoi's true route, Agave, is quite possibly my favorite route in any visual novel, being the perfect way to end the original visual novel and would have worked great for a final route for the series. It's the most serious one in the whole series, tying together foreshadowed mysteries and involving the entire Kazuma family in a satisfying conclusion. Despite some minor flaws like issues with Chris's route and super short side routes that don't quite match the main 6 routes, Majikoi to me stands out as a personal pinnacle, or as the Zoomers would say, peak, of visual novels, seamlessly blending humor, friendship, action, and romance into an unforgettable experience. But that wraps up this video. I hope you enjoyed me ranting on my personal top 10 favorite visual novels as of 2024. Hopefully you got something out of this video, whether finding a new visual novel to read or getting inspired to comment on this video about what your top 10 favorite visual novels are.